I mean, you can't exactly recreate these things in a lab like you can with other experiments.
Right, it's not like mixing chemicals or something.
Exactly. And then there's always that risk of bias creeping in, you know? Like, remember the fish dream example? At first, it seems like a slam dunk for synchronicity.
Right, fish dream, fish everywhere the next day.
But then Jung points out it was a Friday. People eat fish on Fridays. Plus, she knew he was writing about fish symbolism.
Oh yeah, that does make it less mysterious.
It does, right? Suddenly, those improbable connections become a lot more probable.
Oh, what's the takeaway?
Think critically. Question your assumptions before jumping to conclusions. Consider all the explanations, not just the ones that fit your narrative.
Makes sense. We gotta stay objective.
And you know what I admire about Jung? He was honest about finding errors in his research, moments where his own bias might have crept in.
Really?
Remember how he talked about his astrological experiment? He was so invested in finding supporting evidence, he admitted his own eagerness might have skewed his interpretation of the data.
Wow, that's humility right there. Even brilliant minds can get caught up in their own expectations.
Exactly. It's a lesson for all of us. Stay open to revising our thinking when new information comes up.
Definitely. So we've talked about the mind influencing reality, these synchronicities, the unconscious. But how do we actually explain it all? What's the mechanism at work here?
That's the million-dollar question, and there isn't a simple answer. Jung himself wrestled with this. He emphasized that synchronicity doesn't negate causality, cause and effect. He wasn't throwing out the laws of physics.
So he still believed in cause and effect, but he saw synchronicity as operating alongside it, especially when it comes to the mind.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like this interplay between the physical world, governed by cause and effect, and the psychic world, where meaning and archetypes can seemingly influence things.
So, two sides of the same coin, maybe?
I like that. And it's interesting because Jung was really into Eastern philosophy. You know the Taoist concept of the Tao?
Vaguely.
It's all about the interconnectedness and flow of all things. Instead of seeing the universe as a giant clockwork mechanism, it's like a dynamic web of relationships.
Huh. So meaning comes from how everything is connected.
Yeah. It embraces both the physical and the psychic, the material and the meaningful.
Okay, I kind of get it. But this idea of the mind being more than just the brain, like it's intertwined with a larger reality, honestly, it's a bit over my head.
I hear you. It's a lot to process. It's basically saying our minds aren't these isolated things. We're part of a bigger web of connection.